The Crithian Empire had made a fatal miscalculation. They believed that by taking everything from Commander Jackson Reeve, they would break humanity's most decorated warrior. Instead, they had forged something far more dangerous, a man with nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. Jackson stood before the holographic display in his command center, his weathered hands gripping the edge of the console until his knuckles turned white. The recorded footage played on an endless loop, Lupo's final howl echoing through the void as the Crithian hunters dragged his massive silver form into their cargo hold. The wolf had been more than a companion. He had been engineered from old Earth DNA, a living connection to humanity's ancestral past, loyal beyond measure, and Varen, his dragon, the bioengineered apex predator whose scales shimmered like molten gold, whose fire could melt through battleship hulls. The Crithians had burned her alive in orbit above Reeve's homeworld, broadcasting her dying screams across every human channel as a message. This is what happens when you resist. That message had been received, just not in the way the Crithians intended. Commander, the fleet is assembled. Lieutenant Chen's voice broke through Jackson's reverie. The young officer stood at attention, but Jackson could see the fire in her eyes. She had lost family on the homeworld too. They all had. Jackson turned from the display, his face carved from stone and shadow. 6 months of preparation had led to this moment. 6 months of calling in every favor, recruiting every pilot who had been pushed too far, reverse engineering every piece of Crithian technology they had captured. Humanity had been scattered across a dozen colony worlds, dismissed as insignificant by the galactic powers. The Crithians thought humans were weak because they formed emotional bonds with creatures. They were about to learn why apex predators hunted in packs. Status of the Lupine Protocol, Jackson asked, his voice cold and measured. 73 ships equipped and ready, sir. The pack is assembled. Chen pulled up the tactical display. Each ship bore the designation of an old Earth wolf, Fenrir, Amarok, Warg. Names that meant nothing to the Crithians but everything to humanity. And the dragon's fire? The weapon is charged and operational. Varen's genetic code has been successfully weaponized. Chen hesitated. Sir, are you certain about this? The Galactic Council watched while they burned her alive, Jackson cut her off. They did nothing when the Crithians committed genocide against our colonies. They called it internal resolution of territorial disputes. He turned back to the display, where Crithian space stations glittered like diamonds in the black. We're done asking for permission to exist. The fleet moved as one, emerging from the dark side of the moon in perfect formation. Humanity had learned from every species they had encountered. Crithian stealth technology, Fortan shield harmonics, Zephyr jump drives. But the humans added something no other species possessed: the willingness to sacrifice everything for those they loved. The first Crithian patrol ships detected them too late. Jackson's fleet wasn't trying to hide. They wanted to be seen. All ships, this is Reeve. Today we teach the galaxy what it means to attack a human's pack. For Lupo, for Varen, for every human who ever dared to love something more than themselves. He paused, letting the weight of those words settle. Show them why Earth breeds warriors. The Lupine Protocol activated across the fleet. Each ship began broadcasting on all frequencies, the sound of wolves howling. Not just any wolves. Recordings of Lupo's pack, the entire lineage of engineered canines that humanity had brought to the stars. The sound was primal, triggering something ancient in every species' evolutionary memory: fear of the hunt. Crithian commanders scrambled to coordinate a defense, but Jackson's fleet moved with predatory precision. They didn't fight like other species, trading volleys at distance. They fought like wolves, isolating targets, surrounding them, tearing them apart with coordinated strikes from multiple angles. Station Crithia 7 was the first to fall. It had been the processing center where Lupo was taken. Jackson watched through the view screen as his ship circled the massive structure like wolves around wounded prey. Then he gave the order. Fire, dragons, fire. The weapon was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Humanity had taken Varen's genetic code, her ability to produce bioplasma at incredible temperatures, and weaponized it. The beam that lanced from Jackson's flagship burned with the same golden fury that had once been his dragon's breath. It didn't just destroy, it consumed. The station melted like wax, and Jackson felt no satisfaction, only hollow justice. The Crithian fleet arrived within the hour, 3 times the size of humanity's force. Their admiral broadcast on all channels, "Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Jackson's response was silence, followed by a single command: scatter and hunt. The human fleet exploded into chaos. No formation, no pattern, just pure aggressive instinct. Each ship became a lone wolf, darting between enemy vessels, striking and vanishing. The Crithians, trained in traditional warfare, couldn't adapt. Their massive dreadnoughts turned too slowly. Their formations became weaknesses, and then Jackson deployed the final protocol. Every ship carried biological cargo, descendants of Earth's fauna engineered for combat. As human vessels breached Crithian hulls, they released their cargo. Wolves, yes, but also others. Raptors with razor talons, serpents with neurotoxic venom, even swarms of modified insects that could chew through circuitry. The Crithians called it barbaric. They called it savage. Jackson called it justice. Within 6 hours, the Crithian fleet was destroyed. Within 6 days, 3 more systems fell. The galaxy watched in horror as humanity, dismissed for so long as sentimental and weak, carved a bloody path through Crithian space. The Galactic Council finally called for negotiation. Jackson stood before them via hologram, his fleet holding position around the Crithian homeworld. "You allowed them to take my wolf and burn my dragon," Jackson said, his voice devoid of emotion. "You thought our bonds made us weak, but you failed to understand something fundamental about humanity." He leaned forward, and every ambassador in the chamber felt the weight of his words. "We are not strong despite our love for other creatures. We are strong because of it. When you harm a human's pack, you don't break us. You unleash us." He gestured to the fleet behind him. "Every ship out there is crewed by humans who loved something the Crithians destroyed, and we will burn their empire to ash unless they surrender unconditionally." The Crithian ambassador's scales had turned pale. "The Council will never allow one. The Council is irrelevant," Jackson interrupted. "They had their chance to act. Now they can watch what happens when you teach apex predators that the rules don't protect them." The Crithian Empire surrendered within the week. Humanity had brought war to the stars, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. Jackson Reeves stood alone in his quarters that night, looking at the holographic images of Lupo and Varen. "Rest now," he whispered to their memory. "The hunt is over." But deep in his heart, Jackson knew the truth. For humanity, the hunt had just begun.